The truth began to dawn. Was it originally in an envelope?" "It was in an envelope," said Oliver. "You're absolutely right. It was in this envelope." He held up a white envelope, an envelope that to his annoyance the police had torn open without a single thought. Oliver had immediately spotted a tiny hair behind the flap, a little security measure sealed there to warn the recipient of any tampering. It might be possible to find a duplicate envelope and put the letter back in play, but one never knew what other safeguards the police might have blundered through. Not really their fault, of course, he conceded. The search had been routine. They'd imagined they were dealing with nothing more than a spoilt kid's drug stash. "But why is it important?" Ned asked. "What does it mean?" "Well, now, you've just admitted that it's yours, so I should have thought you'd be the one to tell me." Ned shifted uncomfortably. "But you see, I was given it." "Yes, I'm afraid I'm going to need a bit more than that." "By a man." "Well, that eliminates 2 billion or so, but it's still not quite enough, is it? We're going to have to narrow it down a little more than that." "He's dead." "A dead man gave it to you." "He only died yesterday." "Don't arse around with me, Ned, there's a good fellow. Who was he, and how did he come to give it to you?" "Tell me the thing in your life that you hold most holy." Ned could have wept with frustration. He was desperate to do the right thing. He wanted to please this nice man, but he wanted to keep his word too. Would it bring him the most terrible luck to break so mighty an oath? "What is the thing that matters to you most in all the world?" What would Portia want him to do? Is it very important that I tell you? Important enough to make me break a solemn oath?" "Well now, young scout," said Oliver, "I'll tell you a thing you shouldn't know, but that I trust you to keep to yourself. Glass of wine? Do you have any milk?" "Milk? Let me see." Oliver went over to the fridge and peered suspiciously inside, as if it were the first fridge he had ever inspected. Milk. Ah, yes. Now, my job, Ned, such as it is," he went on, "involves, amongst other things, doing my best to stop people letting off bombs in this country. Only UHT, I'm afraid, semi-skimmed. Do you mind?" "Oh, that's perfect, thank you. Can't bear the stuff myself, makes me snotty. Letting off bombs, Ned, is a thing some scallywags do, as you must have read in the papers. They'll do it in pubs, clubs, offices, railway stations and shops, killing and crippling ordinary people who have no quarrel with anyone but their bank managers, bosses and spouses. Drink it from the carton, there's a lamb. Now, some of these bombers, they like to call up a police station or a newspaper office to claim the credit, if credit is the right word, or, if they've a spark of humanity and it's only property they want to destroy, to warn the police to evacuate the area. Making sense so far?" Ned nodded, wiping a white moustache from his lips with the back of his hand. "Well then, to prevent any old deranged freak from calling up and leaving hoax warnings or taking credit just for fun, a more or less workable arrangement has been arrived at between us, the government, and them, the bona fide terrorists. When a bomber calls up a newspaper or a police station, he gives a code word to show that he is the real thing. Not going too fast for you?" "No." "Good. Well now, it so happens that the Provisional IRA's latest coded warning for a bomb, just a few days old, is the word interior, repeated 3 times. So perhaps now you can see why Detective Sergeant Floyd, whom God preserve, got a little excited when he found this piece of paper in your jacket. And perhaps now you can see why he gave my department a call, and why I am asking you now to tell me how you got hold of it. The man who gave you that envelope was an IRA terrorist, Ned. The worst and darkest kind of man. The kind of man whose idea of political protest is to blow the arms and legs off young children. Whatever oath of secrecy he may have sworn you to is meaningless. So let's have his name." "Paddy Leclerc," said Ned. "His name was Paddy Leclerc. He was a sailing instructor. We were at sea and he suddenly became terribly ill. He gave it to me just before he died." "Well now, you see, there we have it," Oliver said, patting Ned on the back. "That wasn't so difficult, was it?" I I had absolutely no idea. I mean, he was employed by the school and everything. If I'd thought for a minute... Of course not, you daft young kipper. Do you think it was because of my father? Your father? Why should... Oh, you're that kind of a Madstone, are you? As in Sir Charles. What, he's your granddad, is he? He's my father, said Ned defensively. I was a late arrival. I had rooms in Madstone Quad during my second year at St. Mark's, said Oliver. I had a perfect view from my window of a great big stone statue of John Madstone, the founder of the college. You don't look a bit like him. We used to paint it dark blue during Eights Week, you know. Well, well, I expect it gave your friend Paddy Leclerc quite a kick in trusting his letter to you, sort of thing that appeals to his kind. He wasn't my friend, said Ned indignantly. He was just the school sailing instructor. Forgive me,